EW confirms Pedro Pascal to play the lead in The Mandalorian. Entertainment Weekly's Anthony Bresnikan reports that sources have confirmed Pedro Pascal will play the lead role in the upcoming live-action Star Wars series for the Disney Plus streaming service. Quote, the actor will play the lead role in the Bounty Hunter series being created by Iron Man and Jungle Book filmmaker Jon Favreau for the Disney Plus streaming service, sources confirmed with EW. So kind of just reiterating what we've known, but Bresnikan does add the series has been in production without their lead actor in place. Quote, production is already underway without that lead actor, and Pascal's addition is a key piece missing. Surprised and excited. This is a casting that has to excite not just Star Wars fans, but now you get maybe pullover from Game of Thrones. I think that's where he's most known. And Jesse, you're pretty familiar. I think the Red Viper is who he plays?
Yes, he plays Prince Oberyn, also known as the Red Viper in the Game of Thrones books. If you didn't read the books, obviously you've watched the show.
I've done neither. I like to get attached to characters, and Martin does not, so we don't see eye to eye on storytelling.
David Gilbert would probably cry like 90% of the time while watching or reading that series. He's fantastic. It's one of those those actor roles that you couldn't have cast anybody else, kind of thing. He was perfect for that role, just like Peter Dinklage was cast as Tyrion Lannister, perfect for the role.
And the character that he plays in Game of Thrones, he's the reason why the series kind of needs to be on HBO, right? A lot of it's adult content that he is a participant in.
A very open individual. But I mean, his character was just in the books, there was a lot more to his character in the books. But he's just a phenomenal actor and everything. So I'm excited to see, like, the weird thing is, as soon as this was announced and that picture that we had of the Mandalorian armor, like, you can just kind of like basically just like you can see like the body language and like, okay, that makes sense. Like,
you're taking a lot away from that photo, but I like it. I like how your imagination works.
So
it's not the only role that he is known about, though, right, David? You know him from something else.
So I haven't seen Game of Thrones, so I recognize him from Kingsman: The Golden Circle, the one that came out about a year ago.
Okay,
he was one of the American statesmen. I think his nickname was Whiskey. He was also in Deadpool. No, he wasn't in Deadpool. What else was he in? He was in The Equalizer 2. The Denzel movie that came out over the summer, had a role in that. That was a lot of fun. What I'm curious to know is they've done a lot of production already on this show without having a lead character in there. So I wonder, now that they have identified and hired that person, if that's actually going to change some of the things that they've already done. Are they now going to go back and do some rewrites to kind of make sure that what they envisioned and what they're getting is going to line up together?
I think what is exciting to me is the fact that, as I mentioned, it's like with the fan bases, getting that excitement up. And also, what you're saying, David, there's a lot of pieces to this production. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you can do work on parts of the story without the lead, but it definitely does feel like you're putting the cart before the horse when you don't have the lead cast on set.
It kind of depends, like, When hearing that, what I immediately think of is like, oh, we blew up a Star Destroyer, so we didn't like need like. It's almost like the opening cinematic when the you see the Tantive 4 flying over Tatooine, and then the starter. There's no actors or actresses actually talking, so that's like the kind of stuff that I feel like that may have been shot or something like that, environment building or that atmosphere building that doesn't
second
actually
unit type.
Like it
stuff.
Doesn't actually like future any of the main characters or side characters. It's more like filling in. It's like the holes in between the plots.
And like you're saying, the movies, the special effects works over here, on set works over here, costuming works over there. Like everyone has their own space. I do think it's interesting. Wouldn't you think, David, that you'd want your lead on set from a leadership role, kind of setting the tone on set, but at the same time, you have Jon Favreau helming this project. You have Dave Filoni helming this project. You have guys like Taika Waititi. You have Ron Howard's daughter. These are people that are you have big names directing these things. Maybe it's a sign of confidence that Disney has and Favreau has in the overall project, to be able to be working, in this way, bringing on the lead, this far into production.
I think it's interesting you say that, because I was thinking about that the other day when I was reading this article. When we went to Wizard World, and we were talking to some of the other people, and they had a couple of the Q&A sessions. Some people asked about that, as a lead character, do you have a leadership role? And the answer was very much yes, because a lot of times, like this show, they'll have different directors come in. Favreau's not always going to be on set. Filoni's not going to be on set, but the person who's going to be most on set is that lead male or lead female characters. So they do kind of take on that leadership role. So I think this is a pretty cool opportunity for him to kind of get involved in that, see what he's got, and see where they can take this program. Obviously, they think he can do the acting, and maybe he can rally the rest of the actors too.
I'm really excited about it. I think The Mandalorian is probably the property that excites me the most. I mean, you think about The Mandalorian, the casting Endor series we talked about last week. We have Episode 9. We have the final season of Clone Wars. You have Star Wars Resistance out there right now. The Darth Vader comic, I'll even throw up on there. I usually wouldn't want to put a comic on a movie or a TV list, but that story is really fantastic. And so for the first time, it's strange. TV, this streaming content has me more excited than the grand finale of the saga, which says a lot about a lot of different things, I think.
I'd also like to know, this is actually going to be the third Game of Thrones actor that's been cast into the galaxy.
Do you like seeing that crossover?
A little bit. I mean, you got Gwendolyn Christie, who plays Brienne of Tarth. She plays Captain Phasma. We just had Emilia Clarke as Kira in the Solo movie.
Who produces Game of Thrones? Is that a Disney property?
That's an HBO property.
Really?
That's where D.B. Weiss and
what's exciting is we just learned that we now know that next April is when the final season of Game of Thrones drops, which now that opens up, you could have, because you got to think they've been working on scripts for their movies already. So I would say April at the latest, we might be seeing something. I think Star Wars Celebration, you can honestly expect something from a Benioff and Weiss property, if not the era that it's going to be in, some kind of visual, like an image, kind of like what we got with The Mandalorian, that just picture. We're going to get something at Star Wars Celebration, I think.
I think you have to be careful. Like, I think it'd be cool to see more of those actresses, appear, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't want to see like the whole cast.
Right. I get that.
Over.
But like, with Gwendolyn Christie, Emilia Clarke, and now Pascal, I don't think any of them take me out of the story.
Yeah, exactly.
We haven't seen The Mandalorian yet, but these are great actors and actresses where you just see them as the character. Like when I see Gwendolyn, if it's in the Star Wars setting, I just see Captain Phasma. If it's just Game of Thrones, I see her there as that character. So I think it's really exciting. Just a high caliber actor like this to helm this product, and once again, it just reinforces just how much effort, passion, due diligence is being invested in this property. We want to know what you're thinking. What do you think about Pedro Pascal being cast in this lead role of the Mandalorian for Jon Favreau's series? Let us know down in the comments below.